It's a pleasure to be here and to present to you some best practices that we have been doing or that we are doing at Toyota. My name is Antoine Barré. I'm the manager of data operations and business intelligence competence center at Toyota Motor Europe, and already there for 24 years in Toyota.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sampath Kumar Subramanian, leading the data ops and BI practice within data analytics team in TME.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Anthony from Deloitte Belgium. I'm in the AI and data team, and I'm focusing on guiding clients in AI transformation, so very happy to be on stage with Antoine and Sampath.
Thank you. So, Toyota in the world. So everyone knows that Toyota is a Japanese company, so our mother company is in Japan. And we have different regional headquarters where, as you can see on the slide, where one of them is Toyota Motor Europe, where we are located in Brussels. So Toyota in Europe is also quite important because we have 8 manufacturing plants in 6 different countries. And 7 out of 10 vehicles that are sold in Europe are also manufactured in Europe. And Europe is of course different as in the States. So we have different, what we called national sales and marketing companies. So what was used to be a distributor. And they are per country. Yeah? So you have France, Germany, etc. There you have an NMSC. And under that NMSC, you have then, under that umbrella, you have the retailers, what we also call dealers, but we are calling that also outlets. So we have 2,300 Toyota outlets and about 370 Lexus outlets. We are also responsible for the logistics. So we have 14 parts logistic centers, and we have 9 vehicle logistics centers. So when a car is built, for example, in Japan, it comes to Europe, we have a hub, and there on the hub, the car is prepared to be distributed to the country and then also to the retailer. The headquarter operations, so we have technical center, we have training center, and then we have the head office. And we are, as I said, located in Brussels, and we also have design. So we have in Nice a design center, but we are also designing vehicles now in Zaventem. So the iGo Cross, which is not known here in America, I think, is also have been designed in Zaventem, and the same for the new CHR. Let's go now to the data and analytics team. So we are a center of expertise where we try to distribute the skills, tools, and processes to do everything which is related to data, to AI, and of course machine learning and so on, so that we will go into more detail later on. So the enterprise DNA is supporting the enablement of functions. So with our business, directed with our business. And then also what we are doing is providing the resources. Can be for data scientists, can be data modelers. So we are enabling and facilitating these activities with our business. Business being different departments within Toyota, after sales, sales, legal, but also with NMSCs. So we are very close in contact with NMSCs and working with them in order to facilitate this. And then, of course, we are providing the tools in order to do that based on some standards. So Snowflake is one of the tools that is in our responsibility in the DNA team. So to go to the first use case, so we are going to explain about DocumentAI for claim handling of prepaid service contracts. So let's start with a small explanation about what is a prepaid service contract. So everyone knows that when you buy a car, you go on a maintenance after X thousand of mileage. So depending, let's say we have 15K, which is a normal standard on Toyota vehicles. Every 15K the car needs to go to a service, or every year. Now what we do is that we provide a contract that the customer is paying upfront, a lump sum, And that's a contract that can be 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, or 3 year 45K, 4 year 60K, and so on. And based on that, so when the customer is going to the retailer for maintenance, he doesn't have to pay because it is done already upfront with that contract. So for the customer, you have a lot of advantages. So the advantages is that you have a price reduction because it will be a lower price because you pay already upfront. You are also protected versus inflation when there is a price increase because it's already said that this is the price that have been paid and that will be covered. And it's a peace of mind because you know that everything is covered within that contract, depending on which type. And for Toyota, it's also very good because it is an increasing the customer retention. So we know that the customer will stay, or there is more chance that he stay, of course, with the retailer and with the brand, which is quite important that that we keep the customer in the brand, in the retailership. And of course, we have upsell of services, parts and services, and we have capacity management opportunity, and we have also customer happiness, which is quite important. So the background, yeah. The standardization across the European markets was very challenging because the needs of a customer is not the same depending where you are. Yeah? So a customer in Norway will not have the same expectation or the same need as a customer in Spain. So few markets, so we have implemented a European program for maintenance contracts, but some countries have done also a standard one before we already started. And some of them are really semi-automatic. What does that mean? So it means that we had a lot of challenges. Yeah? So a lot of those activities, when the retailer is selling that contract to the customer, it is manual. Okay, so on the moment that it's manual, he scans the document and he sends that to the NMSC, so to the country itself, and they are activating that contract. On the moment that the customer is coming to the retailer to do the service, he will not pay. What does he do? The dealer has the invoice and he sends the invoice to the NMSC, and they are paying the retailer for that amount. You can imagine this is quite some manual effort. And there was a country in Denmark where they have that activity. So, and by exploring DocumentAI in Snowflake, we wanted to do a test with that. And I will now hand over to Sampat that will go into more detail on what we have been doing.
Thanks, Anton. Okay, so as Anton said, like we have varying market conditions across Europe, and which each market has its own regulations and different requirements. It was very difficult to build a pan-European tool. And so as in Anton's example, you saw a contract from Denmark where it was basically in Danish, and it was difficult because it is difficult to automate the data extraction from those kind of PDFs into a table which was done manually, and there were claim handling processes and contract management process. So as you see here, like we are not doing much fancy stuff. Basically, we upload the documents which we receive from the dealers and the contracts which we sell into a staging, and then there is a questionnaire like where we ask the questions to fill in the, based on the questionnaire we fill in the table, and then we have the standard model which is training it, and based on the accuracy of the model we retrain it, and we have some tables populated which is used for the claim settlement and some management reporting. Yeah, this is the standard architecture which you see. And this is one of the values which we capture from the contract. As you see, like we have the number, license plate, model, VIN number, mileage, company name, the dealer name, invoice number, and so on. One thing which you notice is the language. As you see, it is not English, it is in Danish. And on the rightmost, you can see the accuracy is almost close to 100% for almost most of the questions. Next. So what exactly it helped with the benefits? As we said, like it was quite manual. Not every market is using. We wanted to do a test with Danish market, and it was close to 5,000 euro per month for each market. This is what we evaluate as the cost saving. And the claim settlement for the dealers, like which used to happen because of all the manual work, which is close to 1 month, it has been reduced to 5 days. Yeah, almost 80% of reduction. And with manual work, there were also manual errors, which has been eliminated now. What next? So until we have the pan-European application rollout, so we wanted to use automation as much as possible. We wanted to build an external stage and automate the document upload process. And we also have, apart from Denmark, few other markets which are still using the semi-automated process, which we want to roll out for other markets as well. It is not just the national marketing and sales companies. We also have some divisions or departments within our Toyota Motor Europe, which are using these kind of documents for their day-to-day activities, which also we want to roll out to other departments. With that, I move to the next use case of RAG as a service using CortexAI. So why we need to build RAG as a service? So basically within, as you saw in the initial slides, Toyota Motor Europe is quite huge with multiple departments, multiple markets, manufacturing companies, and so on. We had quite a lot of use cases within internal departments where we want to have chatbots built. Some of the use cases, as you see here, within our internal car fleet, IT knowledge base, data governance, cloud bot, R&D knowledge bot, and so on. So basically, we evaluated between the buy versus build, like the standard approach which we follow at Toyota when we wanted to choose a technology or a platform, whether we go for the complete build of the solution or we buy a solution which is already existing in the market. Yeah, as you know, like we have quite a lot of options in the technology. And as you know, the system is quite complex. The other SaaS providers could not fit our current needs. So we wanted to build a custom need which we can reuse for our internal use cases. The objective, yeah, it was clear. We need to build the foundation for RAG architecture, both from the technical and the architectural point of view. Why we chose Snowflake? Because all of the data was already stored in Snowflake, and Snowflake will be our central data management platform. We have one data, avoiding data copies across different databases or platforms. And this will be one source of truth. And we wanted to build RAG on all our chatbots, and other use cases will be based out of Snowflake. And the main benefits, as you see, it is the consolidated RAG architecture. It fits the multiple use cases and the projects, and it has the flexibility to be used by multiple APIs and other applications. And with this, I hand it to Anthony, who can explain in detail about what exactly we are doing with RAG.
Thanks, Sampat. So indeed, let me maybe start with explaining what we mean with RAG as a service. So RAG, for those that don't know it, it stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And you can see it as basically as a GenAI chatbot, but it's giving, like ChatGPT, but it's given basically grounded answers. So how this is done is by adding in the middle between the customer, their question, and the LLM, basically an intermediate step, a knowledge base, which is the RAG itself. And basically when a user is then asking a question, this intermediate step will look in that document data set or database. It will look for the best matches it can find to answer the question of the customer. And once it's then returning the best matches on the user their question, it's passed to the LLM to create, let's say, the fluent response that we all know from these GenAI chatbots. Now then, how we came up with as a service terminology, or why did we choose that one? It's like Sampat explained. It was basically the goal of this project is also to build a foundation for all the RAG use cases there are within TME. So it's definitely super important that what we build is very modular, very scalable, and also API first in everything what we have built. So the outcome is that it should be standardized and automated. So once there's for example, a new use case within TME, they also want to use the platform, RAG as a service platform, that it's then super quick and automated to build that or to spin up that new workspace or new assistant for these new use cases. So of course, it's not built in a day. So we are now in, let's say, phase 2 of this project. It's still ongoing, but of course we had a phase 1 behind us. The phase 1 objective was really to create an MVP in Snowflake, having also a SharePoint integration for the platform. And with MVP, we really mean, within the true way of the word, it's basically going from end to end, already providing the functionalities on the RAC as a service platform, but still in an MVP version. So what did it include already in phase 1? It had really a front-end web application there for the end users and the workspace owners to interact with the solution. It has an integration with SharePoint, and of course it also had the RAC itself. It was already supporting text-based documents like coming from PDF, Word, HTML, or PowerPoint. And it was also already possible, as we will show a bit later in the demo, it's also possible to already create the as a service component to spin up some of the new workspaces. So now we are in phase 2, and then we have the big objective to move it completely also into production systems of TME, which also comes, of course, with some extra complexities. And that's the main objective of phase 2, but also we want to extend it with some new functionalities. And so now phase 1 was really based on text-based documents. We also want to make it multimodal, so it can also support the images. And then also we will integrate it with MS Teams as well. Good. Let's maybe deep dive a little bit more on how it's set up in itself, the RAC as a service solution. It's centered around 3 main personas. You have, of course, the end users who interact with the chatbot. They ask the questions and they get a nice response. You have the service owner who is, let's say, the admin. He can create and delete certain workspaces. And then very important concept are what we call workspaces. So these are the different, that's really the as a service part of the whole solution. You have different workspaces, each have their own assistants. And that workspace is then given access to a certain set of users, which they then can play with these chatbots. So as a workspace owner, you have the freedom to then also connect with the documents you want, or to select the right SharePoint that you want to use. You can fine-tune some of the RAC parameters, you can change the LLM, you can change the chunking strategy and so forth, so you can tailor it based on your own needs as the workspace owner. Good, so maybe to deep dive 2 personas a bit more in the next slide. So this is from the end user perspective to already give you a little glance of it before we go to a little demo. So as the end user, you really, the first thing you will do is you will end up at the landing page. That's the visual you see on the left-hand side. And in this case, you see there are already 3 assistants available in this solution. So you have a car policy assistant, a car quality assistant, and for example, also a repair bot assistant. And if you have access, well, as a landing page, as a user, you can see on the landing page which assistants you have access to. So for this example, you have access to these all 3 at once. And then once you want to know, okay, I want to access and interact with my chatbot, then you can click on one of these 3, and then you open, the other screen opens, and there you can really interact with the chatbot. Maybe one thing, small thing to highlight is on the you see that red banner and you see the filtering on the left, which is called the document category filter. That will also allow as a user to narrow down a bit the search in which the chatbot is generating its response. So if you feel like I only want, you get a first response, but you feel like, okay, I want to have an answer only coming from electric cars, for example, you can then select the category that will narrow down the search within the electric cars documentation. And this is also based, this category population is also based on how SharePoint is set up in the back. Then also, that's very small, it's impossible to read, but you have these small letters that you can also see on this landing page is more a disclaimer that we also put in, like, okay, you are chatting with an AI bot and your data is only stored 30 days to just give also the right messages to the end user that there are some constraints and that you are chatting with an AI chatbot. Then you have the workspace owner, and the workspace owner can, of course, also as a user chat with the chatbot. But basically, here they have a separate UI, a separate configuration page where they can set up or change the settings of the chatbot. So at the top, you can really play with, okay, what's the name of my chatbot? How do I want to welcome the users of the chatbot? And then the middle part focus really on the direct parameters itself. What's the chunking strategy I want to use? What's the LLM I want to use? What are some of the parameters like temperature and threshold I want to play with? And that's something you can control as a workspace owner, and you can save it for your chatbot. Then at the bottom, you see the integration with SharePoint. There you can put in then the URL you want for SharePoint, and then it can fetch in the right documents. Good. Let's maybe go one level deeper and look a bit more under the hood of what we are all leveraging from Snowflake as well. We are leveraging Snowflake where we can, of course, but let me maybe guide you a bit through it because there's a lot of information on this one. Let's start on the left-hand side, which is really the ingestion part. There we see that, okay, the starting point is SharePoint that we use as a source. So there we have built a custom integration with SharePoint to fetch all the data and store it in the Snowflake stage. I was part of the keynote this morning, and we have Snowflake OpenFlow, so we might need to see how things will evolve in the future. But that's how it was built in phase one of this project. And then once the documents are there in the Snowflake stage, we can start using them, of course. So then they are being chunked. This is also done with open source packages that we are using to chunk everything. And then we are really leveraging Cortex itself to do all the heavy lifting. So we are using Cortex Search for everything related to making the embeddings, to doing the search and retrieval of the right information, also doing the re-ranking. And as a user, your prompt that it's also being, the query rewriting or the query embedding is also being done with Cortex Search. So there really, we heavily rely on Cortex Search. Once we have done the right information from the RAG, we then pass it on to Cortex Complete to generate the nice response, also using or leveraging the Snowflake LLMs, the Snowflake hosted LLMs that are available in Snowflake. Then we have Cortex Guard, which is also being used to put the right guardrails on top of what we are using. So also on the input and the output side, it's being protected or guarded by Cortex Guard. Then on the most right-hand side of the slide, you see basically the evaluation pipeline that we've also built for our RAG solution. So that there we are relying on through ERA framework to do the evaluation pipeline of our solution, and also using there the Snowflake hosted LLMs to evaluate the solution. We log everything in the right tables, that we have also the right auditing and tracing back of everything that we are doing, and then everything is packed in that nice box around it using the Snowflake container services. Good. So with that, maybe I can give you also a little, I will show you a little demo of what we have built. Basically, this is the outcome of phase one that we will show to you, and it will focus on two functionalities. One, it will show a bit on the as a service component, how you are able to spin up a new workspace quite quickly. And then to also show a bit the illustration of the SharePoint integration that's also part of our solution. So let me go to the next one. Always a bit more tricky, this part. But so here you will see that you have the opening screen with the three assistants that are available today there in this demo. The car policy assistant, the car quality assistant, and then an AYA one. So if I just press play, what we will do now in the back is basically create, so now we move to Snowflake, to the backend, where you can see the different schemas and tables that are available there. But basically, we will now execute a command to generate this new workspace in the back. We will call it DTT_AI, just so you know, and then it will spin up a new workspace. So first of all, I'll maybe pause here a little bit. First of all, now the new schema is already created, and so being refreshed, you can see it right there. That's already created, but it will be fully empty and just being created. The nice structure is provided. And then here as well, if you refresh your front end, the new DTT_AI chatbot pops up. Now, as you can see here, this is then what if you click on the assistant and you enter the assistant, then you will see something like this. It's like an empty version of the chatbot because there is no configuration. And that's something that still needs to be set up by the workspace owner. So now if we launch a question to the assistant, like what is MCP, he will just simply say that he doesn't know how to reply to this question because there's no information available. So now we move a bit to the role of the workspace owner, where you are able to then, okay, it has been created by the service owner. Now I want to fill it in with the right details and configure it in my way. And now we can start changing the right names of the chatbot name, the welcome message, the prompt, and so forth. So that's what we will do here. We give it the right names. We will also play a bit with the thresholds, as you can see. We'll also show the model LLMs that are available. In this case, it was this one or the Mistral one. And then you have also 2 chunking strategies available in this solution as well, the token-based one and the semantic one. And at the bottom, we have the SharePoint one. So now we will go to the SharePoint integration itself. We are on the page of the TME SharePoint. We will now upload a specific folder, which contains a document explaining what MCP is. So in this case, we'll just pause it here. It's about the model context protocol that we will be able to provide to the RAC solution. So if we drag and drop this folder on the SharePoint, voilà, then it will, of course, be saved on the SharePoint. And then we will add in the configuration page of the workspace owner. We will add the target folder in here. We have 2 buttons at the bottom. So we have the submit button and the refresh knowledge base button. Here we just put submit to push the settings of the workspace to the front end. As a user, you can already see the new settings. Then we will basically hit on the refresh knowledge base to then also trigger the whole pipeline. We will pause here again. It will trigger the whole pipeline to pull in the documents and fill all the tables itself. So here what you will see is basically that all the tables will be filled, the chunks will be there, the embeddings will be there, and then it can be used in the response of the assistant. Good. So here you also see that now the document is also available in Snowflake in the stage via the integration with SharePoint. The document is right there, and we can start using it. Good. So that's an example of the chunks, and then we will now go back and ask the same question, and then you will see that now the chatbot will be able to respond to this question. So maybe here on the top left, that's the document category that I mentioned before. So this is also based on the SharePoint link. So here basically he will recognize the folder structure of SharePoint. He saw MCP as a folder name. That's also being made available as a document category filter. So now he's able to answer the question. Maybe I'll pause here as well. So now he gave a nice answer on explaining what MCP really is. And on the right-hand side, you can see the references that are being used to give the response. It will also guide you in, okay, where did he find this information, on which pages of the document he was able to find the information of giving this answer. And that's also shown on the right. And if you then click on it, it has a direct link to SharePoint so that you also directly see it as a user on how this document looks like. And that was the demo. So it was playing again. Good. So that concludes the demo. Maybe to also highlight a couple of success factors on this project that we worked on quite intensively. So the first one is also the close involvement of the business. And that was definitely also key for us because we are building this whole solution for the business teams in the end. So it's also important for us to know how good is this when they are generating some responses. And what we did here is we worked very closely together with the business teams. We gave them actually a list of 100 questions to say, okay, these are the questions, sample questions that they work with on a daily basis. These are the answers that are being given by the assistants. Please give us some guidance on how good or bad the answers triggered by our solution are. And then they went through the whole list, and in the end, we got an evaluation of 4.3 out of 5, which we were quite happy with. But also the business, all the qualitative feedback that they give around it was also definitely key in understanding what we need to improve. 2 other success factors is that first of all is a multidisciplinary team. It's a GenAI solution, but in the end, the GenAI aspect itself is rather limited, especially if you are leveraging Cortex itself. To get it all up and running, it's really all about the software engineering as well. And it's a lot more than only GenAI. It's also about setting up authentication, that you can only access the right documents that you have the right to see. It's setting up all the integrations, APIs, and the CI/CD pipelines. And then the last one, I already mentioned it, but of course, using some Snowflake accelerators was definitely also a time saver on this project. And it worked very well, as you can see, also evaluated by the business. Good. So this is where we are today on this project. On what's next, I'm happy to give the word to Anton.
Thank you. So what's next? So you see, it was already a very challenging journey so far. So we are now in phase 2. But the next point that we will do is put it in practice, so really in production. And then also we have multiple use cases in the pipeline, so we will extend this also to other use cases because that will be our preferred platform. The second next step is that we want to extend to agentic AI, and that we can do because due to the API centric approach, the next step will be more easy to implement also the agent. And then the third one is the reference for other RACs within TME. So we want to really put that as a standard. As I said in the beginning, one of our aims in DNA is to have the standard, the tools and the processes, and it's to put that really as the reference for the whole TME. So really as a blueprint. And of course, to use Snowflake for this one, because this has been shown that is the strong value of it. So thank you very much for your attention.